Everybody, we are live and direct with NCB Live number 8. We got NCB's version of the Wolfpack back. Tate, G, Twitty, and myself back in the mix. We also have the lovely but lethal Alyssa Michelle back, making her long-awaited return to the show. Glad to have you back, Alyssa. We're not going to try doing the round of applause again this time. Anyways, tonight we're going to be covering all things NBA, including the infamous LeBron James MVP vote, the Clippers' quick exits, the Chicago Bulls cowboying up, George Karl and his job status, and the Nuggets getting bounced out a little sooner than most of us expected, or at least I expected, and anything else that kind of stood out to us during the NBA playoffs. So, and we're also going to play a little sports Jeopardy at the end. So first things first, let's just jump right in. I know Tate and Greg, you had something to say about this, and I know Alyssa, you definitely have something to say. Let's start with LeBron and the now infamous MVP voting results. Tate, I know you couldn't wait to kind of comment on this. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it is absolutely ridiculous. Not that LeBron didn't get unanimous. I got no problem with that. But I just don't understand how Gary Washburn's going to give Carmelo Anthony a vote for MVP. I understand that MVP does not mean the best player in the league. It's the most valuable player to his team. Carmelo is not the most valuable player. Other than LeBron is going to get a vote. It should have been Kevin Durant. I've been looking up a lot of different stats for KD versus Carmelo, and this is the main reason why I think Carmelo has no reason to be in the MVP discussion. He shot 44.9% of his game, played in 67 games, and had 1,489 field goal attempts. And then Durant had shot 51%, 6 better than Carmelo. Shot and had 28 points per game. He played in 14 more games than Carmelo did and had about 60 less field goal attempts. It just doesn't make sense. Carmelo's the most inefficient player, one of the most inefficient players I've ever seen, but he's getting an MVP vote. Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, what do you guys think of, Gary, I know you didn't really want to talk about Gary Washburn, but his argument was he was taking the Knicks' new heights, the number 2 seed, their first division title in 19 years, aging roster, all that stuff.
Here's my thing with that argument. Sorry, Derek, I hate to cut you off.
Oh, that's fine.
Actually, Tate over there took a lot of what I was going to say, because I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, a lot of people are on that, they haven't won the division in however many years. The thing is, if they had that same record and were in the Western Conference, they'd be sixth place. They only finished that well because they're in the East, which is another reason Carmelo should have never been in discussion. I have no problem with LeBron not being unanimous, but I think if you're going to give somebody else a vote, it should have been LeBron, or I could even roll with Chris Paul, even though I'm not a fan, but not Carmelo. People talk about he took them to the heights. No, he didn't. The Eastern Conference just sucks other than Miami. Put him in the West, they finished 6th and don't have any home court advantage at all.
Kind of on that too. I'm saying Carmelo. I'm one of the biggest Carmelo haters actually that there is, and so I'm not siding with him. But hey. Washburn's argument was he's more valuable to his team. If you took Melo out, the Knicks.
But let's say you take Melo off the Knicks and put Kevin Durant or LeBron on their team. Put LeBron or Kevin Durant on New York. They're going to have more wins than they had this year.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree with that. And the thing for me, I hated that this one vote took away from LeBron's accomplishment, basically. He's the only other players that win 4 regular season MVPs are Kareem, MJ, Russell, and Wilt. That's insane. And he's only, 28? Something like that. It kind of hurts me because he's younger than me. But he's got plenty of years left, and it's insane. And they're not really talking about that because of this one vote.
That's true, and some people want to give it to him just because he finished number 1 in points, but he only finished number 1 in points because he took 4.5 more shot attempts per game than Kevin Durant, or he wouldn't have finished number 1. He was not even top 20 in true shooting percentage. not even top 20. He's not that efficient of a shooter. He's, to me, one of the most overrated players in the NBA. Not one of the worst, one of the most overrated.
See, I'm completely with you on that. Both Alyssa and Tate hit on exactly what I was going to say is Carmelo's inefficiency is what drives me nuts. And the one thing that Carmelo lovers always want to come back to is he scores so many points. He takes so many shots. And his shooting percentage is so low, comparatively speaking, especially, and I know Alyssa will agree with this, especially when you start that whole
50,
Carmelo, Kevin Durant
40,
noise. Like, we can't,
90.
we can't do that. Like, that's not okay. That's not kind of an insult to Kevin Durant at this point. Carmelo is, in my mind, like Alyssa said, one of the most overrated players in the game. And actually, to go back to my man that went ahead and gave him this vote, this is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. So he decided, so he did the vote, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to him on Dan Le Batard. Maybe he'll make a little bit of sense, right? So I listened to it, and it was even worse. Like, he's like, oh, the kind of the same stuff that Tate was saying about, oh, he elevated the team to new heights. And Alyssa stole my thunder on that one because I did the research on that before. And, yeah, they would have been the 6th seed in the West with that same record. So it just makes no sense. But unlike these two, I actually have to disagree about LeBron being the unanimous MVP. I think he should have been unanimous MVP. If not this year, then when would somebody be unanimous MVP? Like, what else would you have to do to get that particular honor?
Well, on that note, though, here's some players that have never won unanimous MVP. Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Russell, Chamberlain. I mean, it's just not... It's probably never going to happen because there's always going to be guy. There's always going to be that guy that wants the attention or there's bias or something.
Well, LeBron's going to start getting that like Jordan syndrome where people are not going to want to give it to him just because they're tired of giving it to him. Because that's what happened with Jordan. Jordan could have won 10. He could have won so many more than he did. He only won, what was it, 6 or something? 6. So people are just going to get tired of giving it to him, so they're going to give it to somebody else. Not that that's right, but that's just what's going to end up happening. Well, regardless of whether people like it or not.
Jordan's only got 5, which is crazy.
He's got 5. Yeah.
Kareem
my bad.
That's
but he could have had 10.
Oh
you
yeah.
Go back to the numbers, he could have had more.
I mean, one year they gave Karl Malone. One year, I mean, I like Karl Malone, but come on.
Yeah, it went to Karl Malone one year. But I guess if we were going to go with that one lonely vote, it could have went to Kobe. I mean.
Oh my God.
Oh, don't get me started on that. No.
Stop.
No. You
can have to hijack this
because Kobe, they so underachieved what they were supposed to do this season. How do you give an MVP to somebody when they were expected to win conference, they were expected to go to the finals, and they finished 7th?
He got 5th.
I didn't say he should have got the MVP. I said he could have got one lonely vote.
And I wouldn't have been surprised to see him get a lonely vote. I really wouldn't have.
I bet people would have been more okay with that than Carmelo.
Yeah, I think so too. No,
he probably would have got
doesn't
one
deserve
vote.
A first place vote.
If he didn't get hurt before the end of the season, he probably would have got 1 vote.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. But
Carmelo did not deserve a vote.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we're in agreement on that one.
Yeah, this is kind of like a non-polarizing thing because we kind of agree on the voting, except or at least LeBron winning it, but it's just kind of Durant not getting a vote and Melo getting one.
This is the roast Gary Washburn's.
I don't even know what he looks like. I didn't even see. I listened to it. I didn't really know what.
So I saw him. He looks completely different than he sounded on the radio. I was like, that can't be the same guy.
I only read the article. I didn't hear him on the radio.
I mean, I really wasn't gonna give it the time of day, but I was like, ugh, whatever, man. You prove your point, I guess. But
I guess.
Well, anyways, and speaking of my last point on this, and you guys can chime in if you want, but you know, if they made it a 30 for 30 for Carmelo, it'd be called 10 for 30, though, wouldn't it?
You still do that.
All right. You guys have anything else for that?
No, Washburn needs to have his vote taken away.
No, I agree.
That's what I'm saying.
And speaking of the NBA, I guess this is all NBA, but the Clippers, and we mentioned Chris Paul. Clippers quick exit, and then I have some thoughts on Chris Paul's playoff career. But I know, Alyssa, you wanted to talk about the Clippers getting bounced super quick.
I'm really not surprised, to be honest. I think they were all hype. Everybody got all on that bandwagon at the beginning of the season when they had that win streak and whatnot. But ever since that win streak ended, they were so streaky. This team was number 2, barely behind OKC. I think even tied with OKC for first at one point, and fell all the way back to 4th. They were inconsistent all year. Vinny Del Negro is not a good coach. He doesn't know how to utilize his team. I don't know why people are so surprised. They were all hype. And yes, Chris Paul, he's the queen flopper of the NBA, and he's not good in the playoffs. I would not be surprised to not see him come back to LA next year.
So has anybody kind of changed their perception, like, more negatively recently than Chris Paul? Like, it seems like all of a sudden, like, everybody talks about now.
I've never been a big Chris Paul person. I've never been a big Chris Paul person.
That's weird. So to me, Chris Paul has been the best point guard in the NBA for a couple years, right? But
better than Rondo?
Yeah, he's better than Rondo. Stop it. So he's
not a triple double threat every night like Rondo is.
So you would take Rondo over Chris Paul?
Yes. I would take.
I'm taking D Rose
Rondo over Chris Paul. This may be a little biased, but I would take Russell Westbrook over Chris Paul. I would take
I'm glad you said it was a little biased.
Yeah, that's biased. But my biggest beef with Chris Paul is he's a queen flopper. That dude's the best actress in the NBA.
But if you take the flopping away, and that's exactly what I mean, though. When people bring up Chris Paul now, they always bring up the flopping because I think he got with Blake Griffin. Either that or we just notice it more now that he's not in New Orleans anymore. But
and Blake Griffin's all hyped,
bad.
too. I call Blake Griffin the human highlight reel because that's what he's best at, is making ESPN's top 10. Other than that, he doesn't do much. He got owned in this series. Zach Randolph owned Blake Griffin. Like, he just beat the living crap out of him. It was kind of funny.
You can't take Dominique's name and give it to Blake Griffin.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Zebo
did feel his soul.
Exactly. And I think, for me, I had a different perception about Blake. I know Blake got destroyed down low. And I don't know if it's because Zebo called him out about his ankle and, playoff basketball, or that interview where Zebo said it like 20 times. This is playoff basketball. You got to play through it.
It is.
But Blake played through it. He played like crap, but he played through it. I don't think last year's Blake would have played through it. This year's Blake did. I mean, he didn't play worth a shit, but he played. No, but I get your point, though. I mean, for me, it's weird because he's always considered the point god and the third best player in the NBA.
But he's only made it out of the first round of the playoffs, what, once?
Twice. I actually have these numbers for you.
Once in New Orleans and once last year, and that's it.
And that was Game 7. Yeah, he's 13-16 in the first round.
And they got swept by San Antonio in the second round. It took him a Game 7 to make it out of the first, and then they got swept.
Yeah,
and then he made it out once in New Orleans.
He's 16-24 all time.
That's not good.
He's only made the playoffs 4 times in 8 seasons. Isn't that crazy?
You know what I think all this proves? I think this proves that the NBA has gotten to the point where one superstar on your team isn't going to do anything.
Oh, it's not. You need 2.
Exactly. You look at the Clippers. I mean, you even look. I'm sorry, Alyssa. You look at the Thunder right now without Westbrook. They're struggling. You look at all the past champions since like early 2000s. All of them have had multiple superstars. I mean,
the Pistons are the exception, not the rule.
Stop it with the Pistons.
I had to say.
I was gonna say the 2011 Mavs because they had Nowitzki and then Jason Terry and Jason Kidd. I mean, they're good.
You would combine them for one.
Yeah, but I mean, they were unconscious in the playoffs. So
yeah, I think
in general, you're right. You need 2. You look at Miami; they have the big 3, and then they have Ray Allen coming off the bench. You have Westbrook and Durant and OKC. You have Parker, Ginobili, Duncan in San Antonio. Like, you need at least 2. You can't. One isn't going to do it.
But okay, so Derek, you were saying though about Chris, or not Derek? I'm sorry, Alyssa said this about you wouldn't be surprised if Chris Paul and his twin Cliff decided to leave the Clippers after this season.
Are they a package deal?
They might be a 2-for-1 deal. It's like in recruiting, when you sign the one brother, the good one, to get the other one.
I get it.
Well, he never said he's going to stay in LA. He has not said he's going to stay there. I would not be surprised to see Vinny Del Negro get fired because, like I said, a lot of people expected this Clippers team to make a deep run into the playoffs, and they just got bounced. So I wouldn't be surprised. And LA fans, they're really, they like to win. They don't like to be bounced in the first round. So
wait a second, that's LA. That's LA Laker fans. Stop getting confused.
But
LA Clipper fans just had the best season of their life.
Hey, all these bandwagon Laker fans are now hopping off the Laker bandwagon and hopping onto the Clipper bandwagon.
No, stop that right now.
I didn't see Clipper flags riding around outside of cars in Southern California until this year.
Which is crazy to think. This is their best season ever, and they had the same result as the Lakers, one of the Lakers' worst seasons ever.
Yeah, I know, that's kind of sad.
Kind of sad.
I'm still mad about the Lakers, man. Stop. I don't even want to talk about this right now. I apologize for even bringing that up.
I told you.
Hey, at least our squad's made the playoffs. I mean, Tate's kind of just hanging out over there. And
Yeah, I don't.
Wait, who's Tate? I don't even know who his squad is.
The Suns.
Oh, God.
They went fishing at they went fishing at the All-Star break. Though.
I was waiting for the reaction to that.
I'm sorry.
The Suns they hired the Celtics, I think, assistant GM today, I think. But anyways, we're not going to give any airtime.
See, I have the only team that's left in the playoffs of all of us.
For a little
but y'all
while.
about to get bounced too, so.
That's because we lost Russell Westbrook. That's why.
We lost Gallo. I'm holding on to that.
I lost Kobe.
You lost Kobe. You lost.
I lost a coach.
You lost Dr. But
I lost a lot. I lost my mind this season.
Oh, wow. You're not the only Laker fan. Goodness. Laker fans around here are like crying depressed.
I haven't been able to enjoy it as much since the Nuggets didn't even do anything in the playoffs. So, anyways.
Oops.
Bye,
right,
Tate.
I
Tate just left.
I think
we heard
Tate got bounced like the Suns right there.
It's probably what happened. He's like, F this show. I'm out. So,
Right.
Speaking of that, let's talk about the Nets getting bounced by the scrappy Bulls.
Aha. It's another one I'm laughing at.
You want that?
That was yeah, man, I'll take that. So the Nets, it was funny because the people I talked to back home in Chicago, like when the Bulls drew the Nets, everybody was excited because they knew that the Nets were the team that the Bulls needed to match up with in the first round because the Nets are the opposite of the Bulls. They're kind of all flash but no heart. They got ski mask Joe Johnson leading the crew. So you knew that the Bulls were going to win that series. Even when they had all those injuries and Dang has this spinal tap weird stuff going on, you knew that they still were going to win that series. Nobody had any faith in the Nets whatsoever.
In my mind, the Nets tried to do what Miami did, with the big three. They went and got Deron Williams, Joe Johnson, who's another extremely overrated player, and Brook Lopez, and they try to basically copy what Miami did with Big Three, only they epically failed. And that's another team. If they were in the West, they would be lucky to even make playoffs at all. But they just got out-hustled by the Bulls. The Bulls had more heart. The Bulls fought harder. Nets thought it was going to be easy because the Bulls were injured, and they just didn't play like they wanted it. And they got bounced deuces.
Who would have thought Nate freaking Robinson
Representing for the little people
would be a key to a playoff series like that? I mean, when they picked him up in the offseason, I was like, championship, kind of joking around, like ace in the hole.
And he went off against Miami last night.
Exactly. It's crazy. And I love his quote. I think it might have been today or yesterday where he said, God bless me with a lot of heart and not height. I'll take that any day. I think that's what he said.
I posted that on my Facebook because, I'm kind of like 5'2" over here. I'm little.
As a 5'8" shooting guard over here, I respect that. But Jimmy Butler, too. I mean, this guy is kind of the breakout star of the playoffs for me.
He is.
If he plays all 48 minutes next game, he'll be the first player since the merger to do that in 4 consecutive playoff games, which is ridiculous.
And he defended LeBron so well.
I
don't expect LeBron to shoot that way every night, but he did a good job. He's
doing everything for them. I mean, he's averaging 13, 5.5, and 3 assists. He had 14 rebounds against Miami the other day.
Well, and that's how you beat Miami. Miami finished last in the NBA in rebounds. That's how you beat him, is on the boards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's I was just about to say that's exactly how you beat the Heat too. Is you have to beat them up on the boards. Noah had a nice all-around game, even though he was in foul trouble yesterday. But I'm with you, Derek. Jimmy Butler, man, has been a huge surprise. He played a great game yesterday, and especially like Alyssa said, that defense on LeBron. I mean, that's about as good as you're going to hope for, right? I mean, there's only so much that you're going to be able to do,
especially this year.
Man, the Bulls played with some heart last night, man. You have to give it up to the Bulls last night.
Tibbs for president, man. They always play hard, no matter what. And
yeah, I'm not like a huge Bulls fan. Like I really typically like don't care one way or the other about the Bulls. Like they're just kind of there. But I have so much respect for this team, just given how they've played so far. All the injuries, all the problems, and they just go out and give it 110%. They fight so hard. I just have to respect that. I don't expect them to win the series, but I'm rooting for them 110%, man. They're playing hard with so much heart.
At this point, I'm rooted. I assume that the Heat will go ahead and win Game 2. It might not be close because the Heat might be a little angry, but I'm rooting for Derrick Rose to come down from the rafters in Game 3.
Yes, at halftime even. Just make it all dramatic.
So let me for real. So I'm joking, but let me talk about this for a second. Let me go off here. So it is not. They're not doing Derrick Rose any favors. He's not doing himself any favors by always jumping up and down on the doggone sidelines. He's also doing these little things at the beginning of the game where he's in uniform, stretching out, running around, jumping. But now they're talking about where he might dress for Game 3. I'm like, man, you got to stop teasing these people and come on out and play.
Do you think that's just for game planning purposes, though? Like, people are like, you know how they do it in football? Like, they're not going to give a practice report like this running back's hurt just so you spend time to game plan against them. I don't think people are doing that, but do you think there's some gamesmanship there?
No, not really, especially not in this series, because I think that the Heat would be the team that's least afraid of Derrick Rose coming back, just because they've shown that they'll stick LeBron on him and kind of shut him down. So I don't think they're that concerned about it. But it would be a nice boost for the Bulls if he could come back and play well.
I don't even know if I want to talk about Derrick Rose because I'll just go off and I'll go on for a while.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different topic, but I'm with Greg there. If he came back like they're in the middle of the third quarter,
better off though. That's my question. Given how they're playing, would they even be better off?
And that's funny because that's what my dad actually asked me that last night after the game, in between him screaming about them winning, and that would that then mess up their rotation at this point. But I think that they're so injury riddled that they could use another guy in the rotation at least.
Yeah, he'd have to come off the bench for sure, and limited minutes.
But you think about it, Nate Robinson was their third point guard coming into the season, so they're pretty deep on the depth chart at this point. When you got Teague out there getting minutes in a playoff game,
I think they had Teague, Daquan Cook, and Nazi Muhammad on the floor in a Game 7. And they won that game.
Oh, God. Right, and they won. Daquan Cook came out. Daquan Cook was out there last night, stepped out of bounds on 2 consecutive plays, and I predict that he will not play again the rest of the series.
Well, it's crazy, that lineup I just mentioned, that was the Thunder's bench 2 years ago, wasn't it? You had Nate Robinson, Daquan Cook, and Nazi.
Yes, it was.
Look at that.
It was.
They watched
but
a lot of
They were never going to get legit playing time behind Westbrook, Durant, Cephalosha, Harden at the time.
Hey, we gave y'all Cephalosha, though. The Bulls gave him Cephalosha. They should have kept him.
Yeah.
He really wasn't that good back in the day, though.
He fits well with the Thunder because the Thunder have enough scoring. They don't need him to score. They need him to play defense, which is his specialty. They don't require him to do
which is why he didn't fit well with the Bulls. Yeah, because the Bulls needed somebody else to score.
Yeah, the Bulls need more scoring. The Thunder don't need it. They're like, you're a defensive specialist, play defense. You don't have to do anything else. You can get away with taking 3 shots a game. We don't care.
Corner threes all day. Corner threes all day. Okay. Well, let's move on to, I really don't want to talk about this, but we will. George Karl. Should he be fired after leading the Nuggets to 7 consecutive playoff appearances, 10 in a row overall, and their best record ever as a franchise after getting bounced out in the first round? You guys want me? I can start with this one. I got plenty to say. But,
no, I want you to start on this one.
Here's some of the coaching performances that George Karl's been a part of. He was part of that Seattle Supersonics team that lost to the 8-seeded Nuggets when he was coaching the Sonics. That 2002 Milwaukee Bucks team that just tanked at the end, just gave up on him. The U.S. national team that got 6th in the World Championships. This is one of the dream teams, finishing 6th. George Karl was a part of that. When he had Melo, he was a 3 seed and lost to the Clippers with like Sam Cassell and Cuttino Mobley in the first round. These are just some of the playoff performances of George Karl. I like the guy. I mean, he's got a great story overcoming cancer. He seems like a super nice dude. Great regular season coach. Come playoff time, though, he's kind of non-existent. I don't know what you guys think of all this.
I agree. He's a great regular season coach, but come playoffs, he is not a playoff coach. Part of me wants to give him another chance because it kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. To me, I feel like if you're going to make a deep run, you need a superstar. They haven't really had, other than Carmelo, they really haven't had that the last few years. And maybe that's what they need to take them to the next level. I don't know. But then part of me is like, yeah, you have made playoffs all these times and only made it out of the first round once. So I'm kind of like, maybe give it another year, but I understand if they fire him.
Yeah, I could understand if they fire him, but I don't think they should. Listen, if anything, he's consistent. Can we give him that?
That's not enough in the NBA, though. You gotta win champ. You want to make the finals. The goal is finals.
7 years is a long time for an NBA coach to not do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, given he did have Carmelo, I don't know if you combine Carmelo and George Karl together, you can see why they weren't really successful, except for that 1 year.
They need a superstar. They need a superstar that's gonna work with Karl. If they could do that, then maybe he can go farther. But I don't know.
Well, they got a lot of assets to trade. I know Iggy just decided he's not going to re-sign, so we'll see what happens with that. But they got a lot of pieces you could trade. I know somebody in the Denver Post today was saying they should package Gallo, Kufis, and a draft pick or something for Kevin Love, which if Minnesota does that, they're retarded. I would gladly take that. But this is the same guy in the Denver Post that said the Nuggets should trade for LeBron last year. So this guy's really not got a lot of credit.
Yeah, like LeBron's going to come out to Denver.
Hey, Kobe
or
likes
like Miami would have traded him.
Kobe likes him.
See,
LeBron is going to keep his happy self in Miami. If he does leave Miami, he's keeping him happy self in the Eastern Conference.
No, he needs to go to L.A.
I don't know. I think he might go to L.A.
I don't see LeBron James in the Western Conference. I don't.
That's a whole no. We can.
If he strings like 2 or 3 more titles here in Miami, what else does he have to prove out there? Let's just try the Lakers and win. Create a one-man dynasty and just go team to team and conference to conference. I mean, I would hate it, but
we could do it. We could do a whole show about the possibility of the world imploding if LeBron went to LA, and I would love it. I'm just going to put it on the record right now. But my question for you, Derek, is this, though. What's the difference between George Karl in the regular season and the playoffs? Why is there such a difference? Why can he win in the regular season, but they can't get it done in the playoffs?
Well, I think with this particular team and these Nuggets teams that he's had, it's that organized rec league basketball where they're running up and down the court. They have that depth, so they're kind of prepared for the long haul for the regular season. I don't know I just don't think he can get the guys in the right frame of mind during the playoffs, though. I mean, Corey Brewer, I know I mentioned this before, if you're depending on that guy, you're in trouble. But he just disappeared, and he kept playing him. I think there's a lot of loyalty involved. Andre Miller, who threw him under the bus after the series, said they got out coached. I mean, he was really loyal to him, but he's he plays that old man rec ball, which is not going to cut it. You're guarding Steph Curry, and he's a really loyal guy. I think to a fault sometimes, and I think I don't know. I mean, he had a run with the Sonics, and even then, he had one of the best defensive point guards ever in Gary Payton. Sean Kemp was awesome back then, and he still couldn't really do much with that team either. So I don't know what. It seems like he's running the same style, but I just don't think he makes the right adjustments during the playoffs.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Not a good playoff coach.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't know. I mean, if you can give the Bulls George Karl and then give the Nuggets Tibbs, might have been a little different there. And I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of
a lot of people would take that trade. Though Alyssa should sign up for
I
that
would
trade.
take that. I love Scott Brooks. I would take that trade.
Yeah, okay. In 2 years, mark my words, y'all not gonna love Scott Brooks so much.
I'm kind
Give
of
us
there
Tibbs.
too.
I would take Tibbs.
I'll leave this. I'm not going to say too much about Scott Brooks and his coaching, but there's a lot of just standing around on offense with the Thunder.
I have to credit Scott Brooks because what he's done with this team in since they became the Thunder, because he came in, because he was the interim head coach the first season in OKC because PJ Carlismo got fired after the first 10 games. And what they've been able to do since then is quite amazing. And I have to give him credit for the adjustments he made in the Western Conference Finals against San Antonio, because the turning point in that series was when he took Westbrook off of Tony Parker and put Cephalosha on Tony Parker, and he pretty much shut him down for the most part for the rest of the series. So I have to give him credit for adjustments he did make last season. I have not seen some of the rotations that I've wanted to see this year, but I question his moves sometimes, but I still want to give him the chance for now. He's still a new coach and a young coach, but it's going to be hard now without Westbrook, and so far he's doing a pretty good job. But we'll kind of see going forward and what happens next year. You at least got to give him through next year. But if they don't make a finals next year,
yeah, definitely. And
I understand if they don't make it this year because they lost Westbrook. But if they don't make it next year with a healthy squad,
yeah, he's got a mulligan this year, and any coach that can come back 0-2 against Popovich, especially in the Western Conference Finals.
That's why I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Even though people have questioned him a lot this year, I have to have faith in him and give him the doubt for this year at least.
And I know I dog on Fisher and Brooks's affinity to him, but his loyalty to Fisher has actually paid off here this last couple games. So
because Derek Fisher turns back the hands of time come playoff time.
Seeing a vintage Derek Fisher here. All right, we'll kind of get off the Nuggets subject here, but anything else stand out to you guys for the playoffs before we get into the Sports Jeopardy? I know there's a lot of stuff there.
No, I think that I think we hit on the thing that stands out to me. The Bulls, man, the Bulls and the heart that they've shown. I think that at this point though, we should probably stop questioning that. I think that as long as Tibbs is the coach, they're going to play hard. They're going to play good defense. It's going to be whether or not they can keep everybody healthy and then they can make a real run in the playoffs. But yeah, the Bulls have been a nice surprise so far.
One thing that's been kind of a hot topic is how much pressure is on Carmelo Anthony.
Oh yeah, he's
because I really don't think they're gonna. I know that they pretty much handled Indiana pretty well tonight, but Indiana still has home court advantage now since they took Game 1. I think Pacers are gonna win this series. I do, because they play better defense, and I don't trust J.R. Smith in a playoff series, and I really don't trust Carmelo in a playoff series, and then they have nobody else to rely on. So I still think that Indy's gonna end up winning the series, and then Carmelo's gonna get that playoff choke artist sort of reputation.
Oh, yeah, I think it was weird. I was briefly watching the game a little bit. I've been trying to stay away from the Eastern Conference as much as possible, but I think today was the first time all playoffs that Carmelo even shot 50% or above that, which is insane for a superstar. That is
so efficient.
That's a stat.
Superstar.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a big fan of Carmelo. But
and then there was the double overtime last night, Golden State and San Antonio.
And the Screaming Lady?
Manu Ginobili. I don't know why anyone's so surprised. It's Manu. It's playoff.
Ginobili!
Did he even play at all the regular season? He's starting to get into that Robert Horry territory where he doesn't play at all till the playoffs.
He did, but he was injured a lot. He's injured most of it.
And with Popovich, too, you don't know if he's actually injured either. I mean, he could just be resting.
He could just be old.
That was an awesome game, though. I mean, I got to say, that was... What was it? What was his name? Bazemore for the Warriors? Tom, I don't know what the heck his name is. He's played 6 minutes all playoffs. Mark Jackson puts him in. He had the game-winning shot before Ginobili hit that three. We would have been talking about Bazemore for some reason today.
Right. We would have all been trying to figure out who in the world that was.
I don't even know who. I thought that was a creative player. He was sitting on the bench playing his video game. But
I think San Antonio's going to make the finals in the West. For
me, if the objective is to beat the Heat, I want to see Memphis in there because everything we said about the Bulls beating up on the Heat, the Grizzlies played hard. Maybe not as hard as the Bulls, but they're equipped to beat the Heat like that.
My issue with Memphis, you're a superstar short because I consider Randolph and Gasol all-stars, but not superstars. There's a difference between all-star and superstar. They are a superstar short. I think San Antonio stands the better chance because San Antonio is playoff, final, test-driven. They've won finals. They've been there, done that. They are vets. They are soldiers. They know what it takes. I think San Antonio has the best chance.
Well, I think their style of play works good against the Heat's attacking defense because they rotate the ball. There's a lot of that three-point shooting. But you know how we talked about the exception to the rule for that superstar role is the Pistons. Tayshaun Prince was on that team, and he happens to be on this Grizzlies team too. I don't know. I'm just saying.
He's 9 years older now.
He's wiser.
Yeah.
He's wiser.
He's about 3 steps slower too. I think at this point, I hate to say it, but the Spurs, the Grizzlies, whoever it would be, man, the Heat are gonna win. We can just stop.
Oh yeah.
Like if we weren't getting like it sucks that I hate to say this too, but it sucks that Westbrook got hurt, and we'll get to that in a second. But because I feel like we're gonna be robbed of another Thunder Heat finals matchup.
We are being robbed
that we should have got. I mean, the Thunder would have lost 2. Let me get that off my chest there, Alyssa. The Thunder would have lost 2, probably in 5 this time.
I don't think it would have been 5. I think it would have gone 6 or 7. But I think we're robbed because a lot of players are injured. Because we have no Rajon Rondo, and I think that does make a difference. Because I think the Heat, I think the Celtics really challenge the Knicks, if not win that series, if they have Rajon Rondo. With what's his face in Denver, Gallinari, with Westbrook, with Rose, with Kobe, all of a sudden you can make an all-star team of the guys that aren't in these playoffs.
Steve Nash.
Yeah, you can make an all-star team of the guys that we're missing, and that robs the fans because we're not going to get the best finals we could now.
Oh, I know. I think you mentioned Rondo. I think people forget how great he is in the playoffs. Like, it's insane. Yeah. He's not a regular season guy at all, and he admits that.
No, I think the Celtics regular season are better off without him. Playoffs, they need him.
I think he was outplaying playing at the level of LeBron last year during that series and up until that game 6 where LeBron went Super Saiyan and just went nuts.
The guy's a walking triple-double. He can put up a triple-double almost any night he wants to.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
I agree, though. I think he would have been I think they probably win that series against the Knicks.
He had more triple-doubles this year than LeBron, and he missed over half the season.
It's nuts. And I think if LeBron really tried, he probably would have had a lot more. And he was sitting a lot of those games, too, because they were killing everybody. But, no, I get your point, though. Rajon is actually my favorite player in the NBA. So,
he's not my favorite. I just respect him. His game.
You got to respect that. For me, I guess, Steph Curry going nuts in the playoffs. He's kind of reminding me of kind of Reggie Miller going nuts in back in the 90s. And I think if we were to do a fantasy NBA 2K draft for video games, I would actually take Curry over LeBron James in a video game. Because it's all about shooting threes in video games anyways.
Oh, in the video game.
Video games.
In the video game, okay.
I haven't gone Gary Washburn on you here.
We're good. I had to check to see what was in that Gatorade.
Scissor, man.
I only have like 10 minutes, so we need to get to Sports Jeopardy.
We're doing Sports Jeopardy here. And then you can plug what you're doing after this show, Alyssa, too. So Sports Jeopardy, we'll just get this started here. I'll give you guys an answer. You guys answer with a question. So my first one, speak of the devil here, the answer is Steph Curry.
Is he a superstar?
You stole my thunder. I was going to say, has he taken the next step?
Ooh, I don't even know if I have anything here. I would just say if Steph Curry was a Thai food, he would still be Steph Curry. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. But all right, number 2, Patrick Beverley is the answer.
Why did you take out my Russell Westbrook?
I can't do anything better than that.
I'm not going to say anything either. So, all right. This is one answer here. Vinny Del Negro and PJ Carlesimo's coaching acumen.
I want to give a statement, but
All right.
it has to be a question, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can't think of it, a statement will work.
I'll think. Okay, where should they go next?
Do they have their LinkedIn profiles up to date?
Who are the next
I like that one
better. LinkedIn profile. Vinny Del Negro will probably have like Chauncey Billups do it for him or something. All right, last one. Inside the NBA.
What about it?
What? Who doesn't love that show?
I know.
Why do you still have Shaq?
Oh, I gotta admit, Shaq has gotten better, but
I hate
it's
Shaq.
been going crazy this last week on the show. It's weird.
I can't stand Charles Barkley in general.
Are you serious? You just said that.
I'm gonna tell you why. Here's my problem with Charles Barkley.
Oh no! He pulled out the props.
You just said that's the guy with the Charles Barkley versus Godzilla.
Not as a player. Okay, here's my problem with him as an analyst. It's always back in my day, back when I was in the NBA, when I was a player. You're not in the NBA anymore. Not a player. Get over it. Be quiet. I don't think he's a good analyst. That's my problem.
He needs to go on College Game Day next year when Lee Corso has another stroke. Charles Barkley at College Game Day.
You're going to hell. And Charles Barkley is the man. How can you not like Charles Barkley? It's Shaq, man. Hate that dude. He needs to go.
About back in his day and all this other stuff.
He's reliving. He's a dream teamer. He's a Hall of Famer.
And he talks about what teams need to do to win a ring. And then I remember, wait, how many rings do you have, Charles?
He's got 2 with the Dream Team.
NBA title ring. None.
No, I know.
He's got as many NBA titles as I do.
Ooh, good point. He does have 1 MVP, though.
Which Jordan should have won.
I don't know. That 93 Suns team was pretty damn good.
You could have argued Jordan. You could argue that it was only given to him because people were tired of giving it to Jordan.
Maybe. Chuck was awesome that year.
I know. I give him props for that, but he does too much of this back in my day stuff, and I just don't care.
I might have got cut off, but I was saying that he should take over for Lee Corso on College Game Day.
No, you didn't get cut off. The Google gods tried to save you from yourself.
That's a legitimate statement. Anyways, we won't go there. But that's all for the show that I had. Do you guys want to do anything? Any plugs? I know, Alyssa, you had another show you're going to right now. Yeah, I'm about to co-host Around the Clock Sports on Blog Talk Radio. It's not the podcast that I usually do. It's a friend of mine's, but his co-host is a flake, so I'm filling in for him for a few weeks. And then my East vs. West Sports is tomorrow night on Blog Talk Radio. So, yeah. Guys, be sure to check that out. Greg, you got anything?
Nah, man. Just keep going to NCB, checking out the NCB Live.
Definitely. We'll get on that Blog Talk, Alyssa. We'll do some other shows here. Well, that's another thing. Just be sure to check us out at No Coast Bias, and check me out at NCB 24/7 as well. That's a wrap, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Until the next show.